Let's revise a core Java topic, string. It's everywhere in real-world applications and shows up in almost every interview. Ready?
Absolutely. Let's begin.
So what exactly is a string in Java?
A string in Java is actually a class, and every string you use is an object of that class. It holds text like hello or user@example.com. The important thing to remember is that strings are immutable, which means once you create one, it cannot be changed.
Why is immutability so important for strings?
Immutability makes strings safe and reliable. For example, if I pass a username through multiple layers of an application, I can be sure it won't get modified along the way. It also allows Java to share memory efficiently through the string pool and make strings naturally thread safe.
How do you usually create a string?
There are two common ways. The first is by using a literal, like string s equals hello. This gets stored in the string pool. The second is by using the new keyword, like string s equals new string of hello, which creates a new object in the heap.
And tell me more about the string pool.
The string pool is a special memory area where Java stores unique string literals. If the literal hello already exists in the pool and I create another hello, Java will reuse the existing object instead of creating a new one. This saves memory and improves performance.
And what does the intern method do?
The intern method ensures that a string is stored in the pool. If the string is already there, it returns the pooled version. This is useful when I want to avoid duplicates, for example, when storing country codes or product names.
What's the difference between using equals equals and dot equals with strings?
Equals equals checks whether two string references point to the same object, while equals checks whether the actual text values are the same. So if I want to compare content, I always use dot equals.
I've heard substring used to cause memory issues. Can you explain?
Yes, in older versions of Java, when you called substring on a large string, the new substring object would still reference the original character array. So, if I had a 10 megabyte string and extracted a small tag, the entire 10 megabytes would remain in memory. The workaround was to wrap the substring in a new string object so only the needed portion was kept.
What's the difference between compile time and runtime concatenation?
If I write hello plus Java, the compiler optimizes it at compile time and stores the result in the pool. But if I write hello plus name, where name is a variable, that concatenation happens at runtime and the result is stored in the heap.
When should you use string builder or string buffer?
I use String Builder when I need to build strings quickly in a single-threaded environment. It's faster because it's not synchronized. String Buffer, on the other hand, is synchronized and safe for multi-threaded use. For example, I'd use String Builder to build a log message or a CSV line, but String Buffer if multiple threads are appending to the same buffer.
What's a good performance tip for string builder?
If I know the approximate size of the final string, I pre-size the builder using new string builder of estimated size. This avoids repeated resizing and copying of the internal array, which makes building large strings more efficient.
What are some common string methods you rely on?
I often use charat to get a character at a specific position, index of or last index of to find substrings, replace to substitute characters or words, and trim to clean up spaces. I also use uppercase and lowercase for case conversions. These methods are essential in everyday parsing and formatting tasks.
How does strings hash code work?
String overrides the hash code method to compute a hash based on its characters. This ensures that two equal strings always have the same hash code, which is critical when using strings as keys in a hash map.
How do you sort strings?
I use the compare-to method, which compares strings lexicographically. For example, apple compared to banana returns a negative value because apple comes before banana. This is how lists of strings can be sorted alphabetically.
Why is string declared as final?
Declaring string as final prevents anyone from extending it. This preserves immutability and security. If it weren't final, someone could override methods like equals or hash code and break the guarantees that strings provide.
How do you split a string?
I use the split method. For example, apple, comma, banana dot split gives me an array with apple and banana. This is handy for parsing CSV data or query parameters.
How do you sanitize strings before saving them to a database or logs?
I trim spaces, escape special characters, and remove unwanted symbols. This keeps the data clean and prevents issues like SQL injection or log corruption.
How do you check if a string is empty or null?
I usually check with s not equal to null and not s dot is empty, but in practice I often use utility methods like string dot is blank, which also checks for strings that contain only whitespace.
How do you compare strings ignoring case?
I use dot equals ignore case. For example, admin and admin should be treated the same when a user logs in.
What's the difference between contains and matches?
Contains checks if a substring exists, while matches uses regular expressions to validate the entire string. For instance, I might use contains.error to search logs, but matches A through Z99 to validate that a username contains only letters and numbers.
How do you convert a string to a number?
I use methods like integer.parse or double.parse. I always wrap them in a try-catch block to handle invalid input gracefully.
And how do you convert a number to a string?
I use string.valueof or simply append an empty string like ID plus anything. This is useful when I need to send numeric IDs as text in an API response.
What's the role of string.join?
It joins elements with a delimiter. For example, I can join an array of fruits into apple, comma, banana, comma, orange. It's very handy for building comma-separated lists.
How do you handle multi-line strings?
Since Java 15, I use text blocks with triple quotes. They make writing multi-line strings like SQL queries or HTML templates much easier because I don't need to escape new lines.
How would you create an immutable class like string?
I declare the class as final, make all fields private and final, avoid setters, and return copies from getters if the fields are mutable types like arrays. This ensures the state of the object cannot be changed after creation.
Now let's move into some tricky areas. Why do we need mutable alternatives like string builder and string buffer if strings are immutable?
Strings are immutable for safety and consistency, but immutability means every concatenation creates a new object. That's fine for small operations, but in loops or large text processing, it's inefficient. String builder and string buffer were introduced to handle such cases. String builder is faster in single-threaded contexts, while string buffer is synchronized for multi-threaded use.
What happens if you override hash code incorrectly for a string key in a hash map?
If hash code is inconsistent with equals, the hash map may not find the key even if it exists. Two logically equal strings could end up in different buckets, breaking the contract. This leads to bugs where get returns null even though the key was inserted.
How does string interning affect garbage collection?
Intern strings live in the pool. Before Java 7, the pool was in PermGen, which had limited space and could cause out-of-memory error if too many strings were interned. Since Java 7, the pool moved to the heap, so it scales better.
Perfect. We covered almost all topics in string. Interviewer, thanks for watching. Stay tuned and subscribe our Java Interview Revision channel for more such a topic revision in short time.